Hello everyone, welcome back. In this episode of Bitcoin Trade, I'll go over something unusual that I haven't really seen and can't quite make any sense of it, but um, let's just go to it right now. Um, if you look at these prices here, you see the Bitstamp price, you'll see the BitC price, and you'll see the Bitfin, and then Hobu, and you're seeing something quite unusual here, where you're seeing BitC being higher than all the other exchanges here. And usually when you see that, that reflects a sell-off. Interestingly enough, there really hasn't been a quote-unquote sell-off, no selling, because it's been that way ever since this large movement in price right here, and then following that. And so this is a 12-hour, that's the price, and that's on Bitfin. And then usually when I start seeing BitC being higher in price, and it really started to get that way on this spike here, and I'll kind of show you, because if you look on the BitC price, something unusual just really happened. There you go. that's what you're. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But if you take a look, the body of it goes right here, and then the stick of it, the candlestick, and then the body. Mostly the body is right around here. It goes all the way up to 270. A little unusual. Now, typically you don't see these weird flash, they're known as flash crashes, but on this particular case it's not a flash crash, it's a flash rise, which is kind of weird, because if you back up far enough, let's go on a 3-day on BitC, you know, you've had a few flash crashes here, you kind of see them, a little indicative of kind of the direction of maybe where the price action is kind of going overall. And you see the big, candlesticks here, and then the main body of the candlestick up here, and then you see this very long, narrow stick here, kind of show where the price has been and pulled back. You don't start seeing the same scenario except going on the upside until you get right around here, and then you're starting to see some signs of upward movement. You can almost say right here, it's almost like even, nothing here going on. But when I see these, you gotta look at it for what it seems like. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. I had to do something real quick. Anyways, when you start seeing these downward flash crashes with a very big tail, it almost seems like a future prediction of overall price trend going down. Now you're starting to see the other reverse here, where you're starting to see flash rises. I don't know what to call them. And you see it really on BitC, because it has such a low, very low liquidity, I would say. If you look at these market orders here, you see they're not a lot, except here on the top. But normally these are the typical market orders you would see, not even one whole Bitcoin on BitC. So when I go and we'll go back to the 1 hour here, and let's go back to 12-hour, and so you see this little flash rise here. Either someone made a mistake, maybe perhaps meant to put a limit order and typed in a market order. In any case, it would have corrected, but you wouldn't have gotten this price that is higher than all the other exchanges, and it's been higher. It's kind of been balancing out a little bit, but at one point there was about a $5 to $6, almost a $10 difference at one point. Now it's kind of almost evened out, but still higher. than all the other exchanges. And typically, I've seen that when there's a market crash, a sell-off. But in this case, there is no sell-off. There's a rise, flash rise. So that's a little unusual. I haven't seen anything like this since I've really started trading. Even when the price back in 2003, the price was going up rapidly. BitC was still lower of all the major exchanges. Now you're seeing this unusual phenomenon here, where you're seeing BitC being higher than all the other exchanges. So I'm not sure what that means. It's really strange to see that for the most part, and so that's a little unusual. So you see here, there's no spike in the price. So that's a little unusual, but the fact that remains that BitC overall is higher in price is it's very strange. So I don't know what kind of indicator that would be, but from the way things have been moving, it seems to perhaps indicate a potential of moving. I always say it's potential of moving up, but it's just that, you know, whenever I see BitC being higher, it's usually because the prices are falling. But no prices have fallen, although it did make a lower low, but it didn't, you know, it didn't like break through or anything. 215, it's kind of where I had my low set. Went down to 213, which is fine, and then after that it just broke up. If you were trading anywhere around here, the 215 area, you probably did really well. I still feel a 270 price target is valid. It may have gone down to maybe about 260. You know, as time goes on, these kind of the price target kind of moves downward until it starts showing more upward momentum. Then it starts going back up. And so, from what I could tell, it doesn't seem to be any indication of a rapid sell-off, although it did make a lower low. But if I go back here and let's go on a daily, and I'm still on Bitfin. I'm still on Bitfin, and that's the current price. This is the low here for the year, and it's moved up here. Now it's moving back down, but the point is it really hasn't made that much of a low. Matter of fact, if it's very close to breaking down this low right here, but it really hasn't, and that's about what, 210, 200. So it may gently work its way down and bounce up, but until it breaks this, I'm not really worried about this overall trend continuing going down. Although it is still going down, it's following these 2 points. Let me make a line here. There you go. So on a daily, you could kind of really see that it's really following this trend here. But at the same time, I'm not too worried, because it's really pushing up against it, and then again I'm gonna just kind of indicate where I'm using this kind of low right now to kind of create a little triangle for the most part. And as you see, it's really bouncing up against this resistance here. It's almost getting squeezed here until it breaks here, for sure, like 210, maybe 200. If it breaks 200, definitely you're looking at more downward pressure continuing. But as long as it's being squeezed here, it's only a matter of time before it just has to push up or has to push down. And I think there's to a certain degree still some pin-up demand, although on a peer-to-peer level I am noticing there is some overcrowding going on. In other words, I think there seems to be a lot more market participants in the peer-to-peer market, you know, selling and trading Bitcoins here. I don't know what the buying demand is. If there was any buying demand, it's already happened, and I think that's the reason why you're seeing a flood of peer-to-peer market participants here. And seems like whatever trade they couldn't do, either due to lack of liquidity or other market participants, they're going out to the peer-to-peer markets and trying to find market participants. So it's kind of, it's still up in the air. I think it's bound to break through at some point, because excuse me, because as the price goes down lower, it's so much easier to keep your gains in Bitcoin. You're gaining a lot more Bitcoin than you are at a higher price. It's making it less, for me anyway, it's less risky, less of a risk, versus at a higher price where you're getting a fractional amount, and then that, as the price goes down, that fractional amount really becomes a fractional amount in value. Where now I think you're getting more, still fractional amount, but you're still getting more of an amount of Bitcoins. And at this point, if it goes down, it's not, how can I say that, the value, the potential value loss is not as much as it was when the price was higher. And so, anything around, in my opinion, anything under 300 is a good opportunity to keep your gains in Bitcoin. So for me, when I keep my gains in Bitcoin, there really is no risk for me. I'm just patiently waiting, because it's going to break out at some point. It just has to, because it's exhausting. The sellers are exhausting themselves, and when the sellers exhaust themselves and they have no more to sell, it becomes quite easy to move the market up. And by the time that happens and the sellers want to go back in, well, they're going to have to buy the Bitcoins, and of course, by buying more Bitcoins, that's driving up demand. They've already missed out on certain amount of gain. And so, as far as downward potential, if there is any downward potential, there could be, but I think that downward potential is minimized as time goes on. As the price goes lower and lower in price, as the price goes down, or the movement in price goes lower and lower, the potential of sellers selling more tend to reduce. And as the price continues to go down further, the downward pressure gets reduced to a point where, like I said, the sellers exhaust themselves, and there leaves no choice but to have nothing left but buyers. Even the sellers eventually become buyers themselves. And so at that point, you got to get some price appreciation to do that, because the swell of demand will drive the price higher. If not in the exchange market, definitely in the peer-to-peer market. And so right now I'm seeing, on this day anyway, which is April 29th, Wednesday, the peer-to-peer market seems to be overcrowded. Another thing is, if you look at this, you'll see that BitC is higher than all the other exchanges, enough to actually do an exchange arbitrage. You won't make a lot, but you know, you can do a couple things. You'll make a little bit on the difference there, and then when it becomes normal again, which it takes time, or you know, you see the shift in value or the movement in prices between the exchanges. When BitC goes lower than all the exchanges, then you can just buy back from there, and the difference between what you sold and what you bought, you know, could be a good amount. Won't be a lot, but at the same time, it's if you do that, it depends how many bitcoins you have. If you're really good about it, you can you know, make your gains in the arbitrage times how many bitcoins you have. And so if you have 100 bitcoins, you can easily, you know, make a gain. And if you do it in the right way, I wouldn't say you want to keep your gains in US dollars per se, but if you kept your gains in Bitcoin, especially at this price level, at the end, although if the price goes down or price goes up, I mean, if the price goes down, you could say you didn't really make any quote-unquote money in any fiat currency, but you will have made a gain in the amount of bitcoins. And if you're taking a strategy like some of the strategies that I'm taking, you're just waiting for another rise in the price. And again, there's no risk on this, so for you to sit and wait, it's the potential of increasing value is worth it. It's worth it because really there was no risk. As a matter of fact, the gain that you made was based on arbitrage, both on the buy and the sell side. And so holding on to your bitcoins and waiting for the value to increase, it seems, for me anyway, to be a more smarter play. You just have to have more patience and time to do that. And so that difference here, and now I know it's $2. At some points it was $5, but what you're waiting for is for this to go down and then this to go up. So if you combine that, I mean, you can be looking at $5 to $10 per Bitcoin difference in price. And if you did that in a way where you made your gains in Bitcoin, and then you're holding on to that without, you know, how can I say this, without in a peer-to-peer market, without ever doing any trading of some sorts, just on the exchange alone, I mean, you would literally have more bitcoins than what you had, and then from there, as the price goes up, then exchange them out on a peer-to-peer market, and voila, you've got a good gain, theoretically anyway. Is it possible? Is it doable? Yes. It does take some time to do it, and you kind of have to do it in a way where you're not driving the price down on one and driving up the price on the other. You're going to be losing the arbitrage opportunity by doing that. So you kind of have to do it in a way that is doesn't move the market too much, because you want it to stay at a different price. You don't want it to level out too much. Anyways, if you can do it, that's great. For me right now, I'm not really going to take advantage of that difference. I could have, but I opted not to, because it does take a lot of time being in front of your computer, and you have to do it at a certain time and in a certain way, and you have to be very patient. For me, I'm just taking just a straight different strategy, which is just just patiently waiting, still trading though, but waiting because it seems that if you look at this line, it hits up here, then you'll see a big gap, and then hits up again, then you'll see the gap is a little bit smaller and less in time, and now you're seeing really not much of a gap here anymore, and it's really close, and it's going more sideways than going down. So this whole thing is going sideways, and eventually, if it does break through, I think you're looking at 270, somewhere right around here, 270 to the target price. If it breaks through, I'll probably stop at 250, then go up to 270, and then from there, it may push up back to up here around 300 and further. It's going to be up and down for a while, but at least there's some good signs anyway. When it went down, it didn't break below here yet. I haven't seen it yet, very close, but if anything, it just was a good support both here and here. If it does break down, you're looking at this being the next target price going down, but the fact that this still remains the low right here is a good signal. And then you got this trend line being very close to where the price action is really staying around there, and so it's gonna have to push up, or it's gonna have to break down, one or the other. And then you look at the momentum right now, it's a little up, it's kind of weighing down. If it breaks out of here, expect this momentum to go up a little bit more. If it breaks down, of course, you're going to be in the red. And so it's, you can play it either way. It seems like you can go ahead and kind of make that trade on where you think that price is going to be, or, and I've talked about this before in my previous episodes here, you can wait to make the trade after the price has moved, and basically after what's happened, you'll get a better idea of how you want to make that trade. Of course, if you want to take a little bit of risk and get a little bit more gain, you're trying to predict the market. If the gain is more long-term, more limited amount of gain you want to make, of course you would have to wait for the price to move then. So anyways, hopefully this helped. I'm always anticipating a move on the upside. I've taken this opportunity to make my gains in Bitcoin, and so again, the gains that I made, they're all they're gained, and so they're not really a risk to me. It's just I'm risking my gains, and so based on that, I have a little chance to increase that gain a little bit more, to the point where I'm letting the market make the money for me, not necessarily trying to make a market, or trying to make a trade that makes money either in Bitcoin or whatever fiat currency. So at this point, I'm gonna let the market move that price, and based on how that price moves, where it moves, and when it moves, I'll base my trades off of that to make my money, pretty much, either Bitcoins or fiat currency. And if you and again, you can't really do that. The reason I can do it is because and I mentioned this in my previous episodes, is that you have Bitcoins. You already have Bitcoins. And if you already have Bitcoins, then you can really open up a lot of trading opportunities here. If you don't have any Bitcoins and you're just selling out all the time, and the only way you can get your Bitcoins is just buy them again and then sell them, buy them again, you're you're limiting yourself to only a certain kind of trade. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can continue to do that, but if you want to exponentially, in my opinion, if you want to open up your trading opportunities and experience more of an exponential kind of growth, not only just in trading, but you can actually do other things outside of just speculation and trade. You can do so much more, and that's where it gets really interesting for me. That's where it really starts opening up a lot of opportunities. Is, you know, when I go beyond the speculation, and I actually have Bitcoins, and not only am I using the Bitcoins for speculation, using the Bitcoins for speculation, I can also use the Bitcoins for other things. At the same time, while it's being used for speculation, I can also use it as a payment instrument. I can also actually spend it. Alright? I can actually take those existing Bitcoins that I'm already having being used as speculation to also be reinvested into a whole nother thing. I can make a trade off of trade off of a trade. I mean, it really starts opening up a lot of doors. But you can't do it if you don't have any Bitcoins, unfortunately. And so I'm hoping a lot of people kind of get to this point where you realize having Bitcoins and using Bitcoin, despite whatever price it is more valuable than the actual price of one Bitcoin itself. Of course, it does help if the price of one Bitcoin keeps going up. It does help, but at the same time, you know, it's not completely the number one focal point. Anyway, that's what I've come to learn, because while you're trading, you can make up those differences in your trades to maintain the value. But at some point, you know, if the value goes up, you've done very well, because you have more Bitcoins as you accumulated, and if they're worth more, then you really made a gain. You basically accelerated your gains. And the amazing part is you didn't really do anything to get that appreciation. Other market participants did that for you. And that's the difference, is that you've let the market move the price to your advantage versus you've trying to make a gain to your advantage. And it's a different kind of strategy when you get to that point, because I find myself having more free time, amazingly. I find myself doing less trades, actually. I'm more selective on where or when. More where. I mean, more when than where, of course. More of when I trade, and because of that, I can cherry pick. I can choose the trades that I think are going to be the most advantageous. That I have to do less amount of work. I just let the market, the other participants, do all the work. And sounds kind of silly, sounds obvious, but at the same time, it's hard to do, because you actually have to have Bitcoins in order to get to this point. You have to have Bitcoins to do that. So, anyways, let me wrap up this video. feel free to like, dislike, do a video response, leave a comment. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.